So the federal government of Nigeria on the 3rd of May actually approved the implementation of the national blockchain policy for Nigeria. Now, those of us who understand what blockchain is all about, we should already begin to imagine and envisage the, will I say, enormous opportunities that can be harnessed from allowing our economy to run on a blockchain system. So on today's video, we want to be looking at the import of the blockchain implementation, how it's going to tackle corruption, and the over $4 billion that will be generated due to the implementation of the national blockchain policy for Nigeria. So do well to stick with us until the end as we take a deep look into this policy. All right, welcome back to this channel. I'm your host, Edik Kanobot, and this is Isaac News. On this channel, we talk all things good about Nigeria and about, our dear country. So we'll be looking at the national blockchain policy. And I'd like you guys to pay keen attention as we begin to dissect the import of this policy being implemented in Nigeria. Now, I would like to say at the very beginning of this video that the incoming administration, in their manifesto long before this policy was actually approved by this administration, had already laid down how they intend to implement a national blockchain policy that can help them to actually run the government in a more seamless way. Now, you may want to ask why I'm saying this, talking about the incoming administration. It is important in the sense of continuity. If such an amazing thing like this has been implemented, the incoming government has to be on board. If not, we're going to see, will I say, lack of political will to actually push further implementation and integration of this policy in the economy, which may, will I say, deny us the advantage that we can stand to gain from implementing a national blockchain policy. So let's actually look at what the whole blockchain, really is and how it can then help our dear country. So moving on. Blockchain technology is a decentralized, distributed ledger technology that allows multiple parties to record. It allows them to maintain a secure and a transparent record of transactions and data. So because it is decentralized, what that means is that more and more parties have access to the exact information that is available to even the top players. So at the core of blockchain, is a chain of blocks. Now think of a chain of blocks, and each block in this chain contains a list of transactions or data of whatever sort. So a list of transactions or data of a particular, maybe will I say, file name or a particular category would make a block. And then each block will be linked to the previous blocks through a cryptographic hash, which then helps us form a chain of blocks. Now, this chain of blocks and the information in the chain is stored across multiple computers in a network, making it decentralized and resistant to tampering and manipulation. So this is basically what blockchain is all about recording, will I say, high-tech or high-value information, in multiple computers or multiple nodes, so as to allow for more transparency. One of the key features of the blockchain technology is transparency. Now, because of its decentralized or its distributed nature, the blockchain ensures that every participant have access to the same information, and any changes or additions to the blockchains. Remember, every blockchain is a record of a past event. So every addition or change to the chains must be agreed upon by a consensus mechanism implemented by the network. So one person cannot alter the records, There has to be a consensus by everybody on board that, perhaps you should have added this to the record. We should have added that. Now, this very system has then employs transparency and immutability, making blockchain suitable for applications, for transactions, for organizations, for anything that demands trust, security, and accountability. In fact, some people call blockchain technology a trustless technology. Why? Because you don't need to trust anybody with blockchain. The system and the organization eliminates the need for trust, because transparency is stamped and ingrained in it. Like, you can't boycott blockchain, okay? It is meant for 100% transparency. Now, why is this important, and why is the country seeking very hard to ensure that it builds the remaining, will I say, decades we have on blockchain? So according to a PwC report, okay, blockchain technology is supposed to, will I say, boost global economy by 1.7 trillion US dollars. 1.7 trillion US dollar is the GDP of what you may call the world's top economy. Okay, countries, think of European nation that you admire, even Russia. They even have a GDP up to $2 trillion. So this is a huge money. So, and how is this money going to come in? Now, this is the global report. They are saying that it's going to come in through rising levels of tracking, tracing, and trust. Because of the way this blockchain is being implemented, every transaction carried out can be tracked to the beginning and can be traced, and there is reliability and there is trust. Now, our own professor Issa Pantami, who is actually the Minister for Communications and Digital Economy, actually said that by 2030, if we can have this policy properly implemented, by 2030, it should have generated over 4 billion US dollars to the Nigerian economy just because of implementation. Now, the blockchain technology has a lot of applications that that is not just restricted to cryptocurrencies, and we want to look at some of those applications and how it's even going to help us tackle corruption in the country. So first on our list is identity management. Now, blockchain offers a decentralized and a secure way of managing identity. You cannot fake your identity on the block. Once you're on the block and you carry out transaction, it is linked to your particular identity. So cases of identity theft or fraud will not happen in a blockchain-based economy. 2, transparent and immutable records. When it says something is immutable, it means it cannot be altered. So blockchain's distributed ledger provides a transparent and a tamper-proof record of its transactions and data. Now, when we record public expenditures, contracts, land records, and other important information on a blockchain, it becomes extremely difficult to alter or to manipulate these records without the consensus of every party on the blockchain. So this is how it's going to ensure transparency and immutability. Now, 3, this policy will actually ensure efficient and transparent public procurement. So whatever the public sector, which is the government, wants to procure, so blockchain will streamline and automate the process of procurement, by the public sector, making it more efficient and less prone to corruption, because now everything is online and everybody can track and trace, what is going on there. Now, there are certain things called smart contracts. Smart contracts can be used to define the terms and conditions of payment. So we can say we want these particular organizations to deliver and carry out this project. And with this smart, contract, we can put it in phase. Okay, this contract will be delivered in phase 1, 2, and 3. So before the contract starts, we send money for phase 1. And before we can deliver money for phase 2, we then have to ensure, based on whatever is on the contract, that probably at 80% completion of phase 1, the money for phase 2 should be disbursed. Now, if this is being set in place and being coded and programmed into the system, with this blockchain, once 80% of phase 1 has been completed, it will automatically send money needed for phase 2 without the need of any government intervention or even touch. So this is what it means by smart contract, and this can happen with blockchain technology. Now, moving on, number 4, anti-corruption monitoring. Now, blockchain tech can be used to develop tools and platforms that can enable citizens and watchdog organizations who will be part of the chain to actually track public expenditure, to track public financing, to track public projects, and they can verify the information that the public institutions actually deliver to the public. So the institutions can say we spent a total of, and let's presume we spent about $1 billion to actually set up this project. Now, private citizens and even organizations, NGOs who are part of this chain can verify that information because they would have been there from the very first payment up to the last and can say, yes, the government actually spent this amount of money to deliver this project. So even if the government said this project would cost us like let's say 200 billion naira, and it went ahead to spend 400 billion naira, these watchdog organizations can actually confirm that the 400 billion naira spent was actually not mismanaged, it was not laundered, it was not embezzled, but it was actually spent to deliver and to carry out this project. So with the proper implementation of this policy, cases of money laundering, cases of embezzlement, and misappropriation of public funds would be a thing of the past because everything can be traced by these watchdog organizations from from start up until finish. Now, the blockchain technology is not the answer to all of the corruption issues that have plagued this country, but in my opinion, is the answer to probably 60%. And if we can have 60% of corruption evaded from the economy, we would see an unprecedented boost in our economy. Now, we're going to experience challenges such as adaptation. It's not going to be so easy for the nation, the public sector to adapt, to this level of monitoring and, will I say, organization. There would be some implementation challenges, and we also need a very strong regulatory framework that would come from the National Assembly to enable seamless integration of this blockchain policy, because every other MDA, every other organization will have to change their whole modus operandi in order to suit the blockchain style. So it's going to take a little time to actually integrate and to, will I say, begin to flow in this direction. But once the whole country comes on board, in a year or two, we're going to see production and productivity be on a constant rise, because of the introduction of blockchain policy. And we are really hoping for strong legal backings, strong regulatory frameworks. We need a lot of litigation and policies put in place to actually support and to buffer this blockchain policy in Nigeria. Now, nations that have already implemented this policy are already reaping dividends, and we too can stand to bring in a chunk of this $1.7 trillion that is about to come into the global economy from blockchain, a chunk of that into Nigeria. Now, because tech is still new and is still being implemented, there will be room for even businesses who want to build, will I say, their framework on blockchain to begin to use it, because it's now legal, okay? Before, there were these fears in the economy as to the legality of blockchain, but it's now legal, and all the instrumentalities that involved in blockchain are now legal to operate in the country. Although cryptocurrencies by and large are still illegal, but cryptocurrency is not blockchain. Although blockchain was developed for cryptocurrencies, but it is now being used in a wide variety of applications. So the benefits are enormous in curbing corruption and in just will I say, making things very easy, because right now all institutions with blockchain no longer have to keep records. The chain itself keep records of everything, and it is organized, it is timely, it is timed, it is seamless, it can be accessed, it's traced. It's just so beautiful. So this chain will keep records of everything every institution is doing. You no longer need to keep records, and they can be seamless. In fact, because of this thing, with any company or institution can be audited in weeks, if not days, because of this technology. So the benefits is huge and enormous, and we are supporting this policy and pledging our support to this government for what it is doing in this regard. Now, the best performing sector in the Nigerian economy for the whole of the last 4 years, if not throughout the whole of the Buhari administration, has been the finance or the tech industry or the communications industry, however you may want to tag them. They have been the best. They have performed best throughout. They've contributed highest to GDP for 4 consecutive years. From 2018 to 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, they have contributed highest to GDP. So this is a good one, and we are expecting to see even more from them in the days ahead. So thank you very much for sticking with us for this lengthy video. I hope you learned a thing or two and your hopes have been raised concerning the country and its ambition to push, blockchain. So this is what we're going to wrapping up for this section of the video. Please do want to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and on Twitter at Edikanobot. And until we meet again, Godspeed.